Rosh Chodesh is a very festive time, every Rosh Chodesh. The Torah brings down from his brother that really every Rosh Chodesh should have been a Yom Tov, Mamish. Just Ched Egel came and messed it up, and that's why the women that were involved in Ched Egel still have some main of that, but that's reflected, I think, in our Hallel and other things, and the Korbanos of the Chag. Okay, we're not going to go into it, but it's also obviously a time for a new beginning, a new month. Jews love new beginnings, new times, and for sure it's a new beginning in Yeshiva as we begin a new Zman today, and we're thrilled to see the new Talmidim coming in, and there are more coming, so it's really great to have everybody, all of our, you can't use the word old anymore, I have it's a bad word, old, so I don't know, former makes it sound like you've left. Existing. Existing makes it sound like the new students don't exist. I don't know. Legacy. Whoa. Okay, so we're happy to see our new students and we're happy to see our legacy students. I had a car named Legacy one time, but it's interesting. I have all these, my old Talmidim from Aish, I have them on all these things, old Talmidim 1, old Talmidim. Someone said to me, don't call us that. I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. Too hard to change. But anyway, both so welcome everybody, and everybody should have a great Zman as we get towards Shavuos. What time? Every Rosh Chodesh is great. Rosh Chodesh Sivan is even greater. This is the day when we got to Har Sinai. And these are such special days for Klal Yisrael, such special days for each and every one of us, especially in Yeshiva. Even in Yeshiva for Shavuos is so special. Okay, I don't want to be marach, but both sides. So besides that, I just wanted to welcome everybody, and I wanted to tell everybody tomorrow is for new students orientation. If you see new students that aren't here now, remind them that it's an orientation. And I want to talk about our special general minhag on Rosh Chodesh in Shapell. Is we always try to bring a earner-learner. Is that a good word? That's about as bad as old. Okay. We try to bring a legacy working, someone who is in real time, real life is both being successful in their parnasa and in their learning. And today we have someone very, very special, who's our own Selig Davis, who's a great friend of the yeshiva, who's a great alum. He's a great and very serious learner, especially the Daf Yomi and other things maybe we'll talk about. And also right now he's a current student for another week of the yeshiva. And it's really such a pleasure for me personally to have him share in our whole series, elevating the level. So it's really great to have Reb Selig with us, and everybody should listen very, very carefully. And Selig's going to have, give the general picture, but then have questions. And listen carefully, friends. If you have questions which are unanswered, Selig will be around the whole week. Find them, set a time. It's great to have mentors and people who can help you and guide you and see you. So I'm not offering his services to everybody for free, etc. But just if you have a question, that was a joke. But if you have questions and you don't have time to get to ask them today, so find the time to ask them. Selig has people for Shabbos also. So no further ado, it's a great pleasure and honor for us to have Selig Davis share some of his wisdom. Hi, thanks. I'm mildly terrified of public speaking, but I'm sure y'all help me through it. I live a 10 minutes walk from here. We love having Friday night guests. If there is something you wanted to talk about that I don't get to today, you should come for Friday night dinner. Best to RSVP by Wednesday. It's very easy to find my phone number around the yeshiva. I attended Shapell's 20 years ago. Did a 1-year master's in financial engineering at Columbia afterwards. And I spent the last 19 years working in jobs in finance and tech and growing in Torah. Thinking about how to frame this and what's an interesting topic to cover for Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and I decided to share 4 bits of advice that I learned in yeshiva that I've gotten the most mileage from. So start with those 4. We'll talk about them in some detail and go over them again. Learn Shnai Mikra. Put yourself in an environment that will enable growth and learning. Learn Torah you find interesting, and bring your expert creativity to learning and work. We'll go through those in some more detail, but those are the 4 points I want to talk about. I learned about Shnai Mikra. I probably heard about Shnai Mikra before it, but I learned about Shnai Mikra for the first time for real from a Rabbi Franz here. When I was in Shapell's, I had a Walkman with me. You can probably find one in a museum somewhere.
I had a cassette Walkman, and Esha Torah at the time had a fabulous cassette library, which included all of the collected shiurim of Rabbi Frand, which at the time was a very, very expensive set. It cost like thousands of dollars to have all of the tapes from Rabbi Frand at the time. So I would take Friday morning and walk to Esha Torah. Yes, I am crazy. I still am. So I would walk to Esha Torah, I would swap my Rabbi Frand tapes, and then walk all the way back, give me a chance to listen to the first 2 tapes or so on the way. And Rabbi Frand covered, in one year that I remember very vividly, she covered the chiyuv of Shnayim Mikra. It's funny to call Shnayim Mikra advice, because it's just a halacha, right? Amar Rav Huna bar Yehuda, Amar Rav Ami, La'olam yashlim adam parshiyosav imat tzibor, Shnayim Mikra ve'echad targum. For a person should always finish his parshas, he should finish the parsha with the tzibor, with the community, 2 times through the Torah and 1 time through the Targum. That is brought down as halacha in Shulchan Aruch. And there's some discussion among the poskim, like what is exactly the parameters of the chiyuv. And Rabbi Frand spent the shiur going through the various opinions and talking about how you should set up a conversation with your own personal Rav to talk about like what should be your investment in Shnayim Mikra Targum. So I was very excited about this. I was excited to have something to corner Rabbi Farber about, and so I set time with Rabbi Farber Zatzal, and I asked Rabbi Farber what should I be doing for Shnayim Mikra, and Rabbi Farber told me that he thinks that the vast majority of Balei Tshuva should be doing Shnayim Mikra on Chumash and Rashi, and should try to finish every pasuk in Chumash and every Rashi every week. Rabbi Farber had very, very high expectations. He also thought we should be doing a parak of Navi a day, a parak of Mishnayos a day, and I won't go on. It's a lifelong journey to try to hold up to Rabbi Farber's expectations. I think this is an incredible habit. I started that week, and I've been trying to finish the Parsha with all the Chumash and all the Rashis every week since. It's a foundational habit of becoming a Ben Torah. It means that you are, by taking on learning every pasuk in Chumash and every Rashi every week, you are going to build the habit of learning everywhere, right? You're going to buy headphones so that you can learn on the playground, and so you can learn around your house on Shabbos when your kids are being really loud. You'll figure out how to get your noise-canceling headphones to turn on noise canceling and put on background noise, so that you can learn on the train and on the bus and in the supermarket while you're waiting online, because with a pasuk and a Rashi, it's long enough while you're waiting online in the supermarket to get somewhere. It means that you're going to put apps on your phone that involve Shnayim Mikra. I like the All Torah app. There are, I think, at least 10 different apps that have Shnayim Mikra for your phone. I don't think you should have a smartphone, but if you have a smartphone, you should fill it with Torah. There. And it'll build fluency and literacy in Torah concepts. When you come across Gemara, you will have seen the pasuk before, you will have seen the Rashi that describes the fundamental concepts of the Torah. And when you run across a Gemara, we learned in Daf Yomi this week about Hechsher Tuma, about the ideas of a piece of fruit, whether or not it has become ready to receive Tuma by having water poured on it, and that water has to be poured on it in a way that is accordance with the will of the owner. It is a massively easier Gemara to understand if you've come across this concept before and learned it from Rashi and Chumash. And when you get to learn with your children, Mirza Hashem, you'll know most of the basic concepts that are coming home from school. The parsha sheets that come home from school are all built on Rashi and Chumash. Okay, 2, that was Shnayim Mikra. 2, we talked about put yourself in an environment that will enable growth and learning. I think all of my Rabbeim at Shapell's tried to push me on my exit to land in a strong Torah community. I did not listen. I come to share the story today. I had come to Shapell straight from Brandeis, and one of my big motivations was I wanted to be able to learn Gemara independently in the Beit Midrash, like the stronger from kids I saw at Brandeis, who would go to the Beit Midrash Friday night after the Suda and sit and learn B'chavrusa. And that was what I wanted, right? And so when I was leaving Shapell's, I wanted to go back to the college environment and get the chance to do that. And I did it. I went to Columbia for a year, and I got to learn with Daniel Stahl, and you should have him for this talk. He's in Rehovot now. But it wasn't shaykh anymore. What I had missed was the growth that happens during the year wasn't just textual growth and an ability to read a book growth. It really no longer belonged on the college campus, and it was no longer a place that was going to lift me up. So by the end of the year, I grabbed Daniel and we moved to Washington Heights. And in Washington Heights, we were surrounded by a very strong Torah community. We found the Shtibel, we found Chavrusas. I got to learn with my Chavrusa Mike, who I brought here a few years ago for a month. And with Rav Yisrael Balsim, and had night Seder every night. And when we had a tough kasha, we got to grab Rav Hershel Schechter at Mariv and ask him about any Masachet and Shas, whatever was bothering us, and it was great. And I think that you're already choosing put yourself in a great growthful environment by being here at Shapell's. And I think that choice of putting yourself in a growth-forward environment is important to think about as you exit as well. Okay. 3 was learn Torah you find interesting. In Avodah Zarah on Yud Tet Amud Aleph, we get 2 versions of the same teaching. One from Rebbe, Ki im b'Torah Hashem chefzo. The pasuk in Tehillim says that with Hashem's raton is in his Hashem's desire is in his Torah. Amar Rebbe, ein adam lo mei Torah elo yemakom shalibo chafetz. He's darshaning the pasuk that when you learn the Torah, you can only learn it in a place where your heart is desirous. Shnei amar ki im b'Torah Hashem chefzo. And Rava says the same teaching in a slightly different lashon. La'olam yilmod adam Torah b'makom shalibo chafetz. Always a person should learn the Torah from a place that his heart is desirous. Shnei amar ki im b'Torah Hashem chefzo. The Maharsha tells us that the difference between the 2 teachings is the first is about the Masechet, the material that you're most interested in, and the second is from the Rebbe and in the place where you find interest. And the thing that I want to say is that being interested is a tremendous superpower. If you learn the things that you are interested in, that your heart is pulled to, you have the power of enthusiasm. And it pulls you on. And it pulls the extra hour in, and you will learn more, and you will learn to a deeper level by learning the things that you have interest in. In Torah, we do have a certain curriculum that we would like to know, the basic concepts around the Torah, but to grow further, it really helps to lean into your own interests. This is true in Parnasa also. I think that there's a false meme, as you go be an accountant, a lawyer, or whatever, whether or not you are deeply interested in it, because that's the way to make a parnasa. It's not true. The way to make a parnasa is to find the intersection of what you find interesting and what other people will pay for. Because if you go and be an accountant when you're not deeply interested in accounting, you'll be eaten for lunch by people who are deeply interested in accounting. Because, believe it or not, there are plenty of people who are deeply interested in accounting. Find it deeply satisfying and interesting subject. After Shapell's, I went to Columbia to do a master's in financial engineering. The program is geared towards preparing young men and women to be quants on Wall Street. My number 1 learning from the program was that I don't want to be a quant on Wall Street. There was at least one class I liked. It was in data analysis. It was super fun. And I had a great time and got the best grade in the class because I was really interested. And I managed to find a job in it. And after that, I managed to find another job in it, and then another one, and I'm still in that one. And it's been great. And I've been working for 19 years. 17 of them were fabulous and interesting and wonderful. Not a bad ratio. Okay. One more. Yeah. Bring your expert creativity to learning and work. In the first parak of Devarim, Moshe talks about the need to bring shoftim to help lead Klal Yisrael. He says, "Havu lachem anashim chachamim unevonim v'yaduim l'shivtechem v'asimem b'roshechem." Bring for yourselves men who are chachamim, wise, nevonim, something else kind of wise, v'yaduim l'shivtechem, and known to your tribes, and I will place them at your heads. Chachamim unevonim, says Rashi, quoting the Midrash in the Sifrei, but we'll take Rashi's version because it's better edited. Yeah. Chachamim unevonim, mivinim davar mitoch davar. Zohi Shashal Arius at Rabbi Yossi. This is the question that Arius asked Rabbi Yossi. Who is Arius? Arius is the guy who asked Rabbi Yossi this question. This is his moment in the sun, his appearance in Torah Shapell, and I think it's a great moment in the sun, by the way, because he asks a great question. Ma bein chachamim lenavonim. What's the difference between a chacham and a navon? Why is first of all, I love Arius, because his entire moment in Torah Shapell is that he asked Rabbi Yossi an obvious question, and then he got a great answer from Rabbi Yossi. Right. So Rabbi Yossi says, Chacham doma l'sholchani asher. A chacham is like a rich money changer. Kishemivim lo dinarim lirot roeh. When they bring him dinars, which is a unit of currency at their time, to see, he looks at them. We're going to talk a little bit about what this meant practically. And when nobody brings him money to look at, he just sits at his table idly. Navon doma l'sholchani tager. And Navon, an understanding person, or the other kind of wise, is like a tagar, a peddler money changer. Kishemivim lo ma'ot lirot roeh. When they bring him money to look at, he looks at them. And kashe'im lo u'mechazer u'mevi b'shalom. When nobody brings to him, he goes and finds for himself. So the money changer in their world was a skilled craftsman, right? Their money didn't have the edges that come on the edges of our coin to know exactly how much the coin is worth and how it was imprinted. Their money was unedged, and you needed to be an expert to look carefully at the coin, know that it had the proper amount of money, that it hadn't been debased, and understand the value of this coin against that coin. It was more like a diamond appraiser than a money changer of our day. They had a loop, and they had a magnifying glass, and they thought deeply and could look carefully at the thing, right? So we're talking about someone who spent years learning his craft and can sit and apply the craft correctly. That's a chacham. And someone who has spent years learning his craft and gets up, and when there is no craft to be applied, gets up and finds the opportunity to apply their craft productively and make it work, that's a nava, right? And I think that trait of being able to take that wisdom, that acquired knowledge, and find the opportunities to apply it correctly is the key trait for success in the working world. I think it's the key trait for success in every company that I've worked at. And it's also a path to deep fulfillment in Torah. It's a path to being able to say, okay, I've learned a bunch of things, or maybe I have an outside expertise that I'm able to bring in from my craft and my understanding prior to learning Torah, and I'm able to apply it and bring creativity to what I'm learning in Torah, and come up with chidush and make a thing. I rarely write down my Torah thoughts because not so in the writing mood, but I have a thought on Parshat Shoftim. I printed it out last year, and my 11-year-old found it in the printer, and she saw it, and she lit up. She was like, "Abba, is this yours?" And I said, "Yeah." And she sat on the couch, tried to learn it. She ended up asking me to come help do it. But finding the way to express your creativity in the Torah can become a source of deep nachat and increase your depth and understanding of what you're learning. So, to summarize, learn Shnai Mikra, put yourself in an environment that will enable growth and learning, learn Torah you find interesting, and bring your expert creativity to learning and work.